I have John upstairs wasting my internet.
Okay, so
There,
we
so
can figure it out, or I can also put it on the last time we did YouTube.
I just don't know
I can
whether
just like
YouTube bans are, eats up more bandwidth
John upstairs wasting
or
my.
if the White House feed would.
right. Right. Okay, so now we're streaming live and we're waiting for the White House press conference, right?
Yes. In the
That is
meantime, I
not
guess
started yet.
we can update people on what we do know.
Okay,
Um, I don't know if we should give the guy's name out, though it's already public.
it is.
Um,
Well, why wouldn't we?
yeah. The shooter's name or the shooter was a 20-year-old young man uh from Bethel Park,
Mhm.
named Thomas Matthew Crooks. No irony there.
No, not at all.
He opened fire from like it was really close, right?
Was
It
it
was only
close?
yeah, it was like only 150 or so yards.
That sounds like a long distance to me. That's
It's
over a
not.
football field.
In the army, you're required to be able to shoot your fire your M16 at that distance with an open sight. Like you should be and hit the target.
Okay, that's expected.
Like
Not a moving
expect
target, but a static target. You should be.
yes. Yeah. You know, I mean, certainly Trump is much bigger than those targets there. I mean, I don't mean to be too much light of it. I mean, I do, but I don't.
Right.
You know, but like he should have been able, in theory.
Well, he's a
He
kid. He's 20.
Trump is very lucky that that kid was such a terrible shot.
Definitely. Respect. Yeah. And again, like what we seem to be learning, and this may be incorrect, but it seems likely ballistics experts have weighed in and they think that he wasn't actually grazed by a bullet that would have looked differently and it probably would have gotten some of his head. What probably happened, it looks like the teleprompter got hit in the process. So a glass shard probably and you can see like in the video, he's kind of like, ugh, comes like
Yeah.
this. It didn't, he didn't do the traditional, kind of thing.
Well, yeah, that's definitely true. They also found bomb making
Yeah.
material in dude's car and at his house.
Yeah.
Um, I'm gonna assume that he wasn't living with his parents
Right.
because like his father seems to be befuddled
Yes.
by
Agree.
whatever happened,
Agree.
So,
And he's a
there's
Republican voter,
he is
right?
a Republican voter and he also gave like a very small amount of money, like
15.
$15 to a progressive PAC in 2021.
Right.
He
Like
just graduated high school, like
yes.
just graduated like not this past school year, but the previous school year in
Right.
2022.
It's just
Like,
a little late for
yeah.
yeah, but
I
not too
mean,
late. He's 20, so I guess 20, 19, a little late. I'm held back maybe. I think it's important to note too that he contributed to the Progressive PAC on the day that Biden got
inaugurated,
inaugurated.
yes.
And I think that that might be a clue because to me there is a contingency of
Why is that sound?
what's
You
that?
guys hearing that? Oh, that's the president. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
How
So we
do
can turn that.
I
Let me say, yeah. You can share
share?
your screen. Try sharing your screen and see what happens. I love him. We're all on the plan for full recovery. I'll speak for him until we get the sound up. Of those who were injured, and we're grateful to the Secret Service agents and other law enforcement agencies and individuals who risked their lives literally for our nation. As I said last night, there is no place in America for this kind of violence or any violence for that and assassination attempts. Oh, come on, Biden. They're scaring me. Look at Kamala sitting there like, come on, don't take a segue. So what's happening? I sound like the girl from Jennifer Coolidge when I try to do my Biden impersonation. Could you say it with Biden's voice?
No, I don't have a Biden. Yeah, I
You
don't.
do. You go,
Yeah,
hey, Jack,
I'm not kidding.
I'm not kidding around.
Yeah, but I can't do that
Instead
for
of the
very
fact
long.
we are his president, the vice president,
I
Harris.
think you do a better Biden impression than I could do.
I'm
Yeah.
working on it. Just brief the situation, including the director. I can't do it too much, but it sounds like Jennifer Coolidge if I keep going.
Yeah.
Oh no. Oh, the homeless, the director of the Secret Service, the homeless security advisor. See, right?
Does sound
Sounds
like
like her.
it.
Okay. API. Is there a reason why we don't have sound? Or we just not challenging? Do you have the sound? It's okay if you don't. I mean,
I
I can still watch it.
I don't know. I have no idea.
Well, like, is there like a YouTube thing that's you usually see it at the bottom that says sound. No, it's up. Okay.
Mine says it's on.
Yeah, and you can hear me,
I
so
can hear you. Yeah.
yeah, weird.
Oops.
The resource you need to get this done. This is investigation. Well, it's actually might as well. President nominated Republican Party already receives a what heightened level security.
High
Yes,
level
we do.
security. Yeah, I mean, it's
Right.
kind of stuff we do
Consistent.
know.
This is all just very. I'm not seeing anything in particular. This is nice. I don't like to hear him talk anyway. Directed the head. I know. I read some conspiracy crap where they're trying to blame Biden, like he was his lax. He was like, "Hey, be easy on the security, folks." Like that's.
I hope that they don't try to do that. That's absurd, but
I've seen it.
it's likely out there.
Yeah, I've seen it. I've definitely seen it. Oh yeah, he's Secret Service giving the orders. Biden needs to be investigated for the orders he obviously gave to the Secret Service to allow this to happen.
It's so stupid, and it's exactly the kind of shit that led to this.
You know, and it's constant drumming up of violence, and we all get surprised when this happens. I mean, and again, what I was trying to say earlier is, oh, he's done now.
Oh, that's
Good.
right.
Don't take, no, keep going, keep going, go, yes. No, don't turn around.
God, just yeah, to look so goddamn old.
My God, right? You like the last they turns around, you're like,
Reporters are yelling at him.
oh, you know they are. Oh gosh, okay, that was fine.
All right, so
I
how do
know
I?
it's a good one. Show everybody.
Okay, stop sharing. Okay,
Yeah, that was
there we go.
right. What I was
All
trying to say
right.
earlier is that the guy who shot him, the shooter, he gave him money to Biden for $15 for the Packer, progressive, da, da, da. And I think that this could be one of those guys, like the guy that self-immolated outside the courthouse, right? They hate Trump. They're super right wing, and they hate
Yeah,
Trump. They're mad at.
mentioned that. Yeah,
So I think that might be maybe they not make cross my but I'm just saying that it's good to get a beat on these people, and that might be where he's coming from.
I mean, it's entirely possible. Like at this point, until like we can, have a look see at his social
Yeah.
media
Good.
and
Did you find
like
anything on him on social media?
not yet because I just
Yeah,
got around to this,
probably tried.
late
He's
this morning.
20, so I doubt he. Let's see.
They may have already removed everything
really googly.
already.
Yeah, I bet they did. But it's Bethel Park. Let's see what happens. Uh, I'll put Instagram in. Does he have an Insta? No. I'm not seeing it, but you're right, they might have scrubbed it already.
Yeah. They usually pull that down pretty quickly. Like you have to be like ahead of the game a little bit, to get that.
Oh, definitely. But usually some reporter has got a screen grab, somewhere. They've got
Certainly.
I
Like
haven't seen
they
anything.
as soon as they find out, like
Yeah. And they always
Okay.
hear on the ground first the suspicions of it.
yeah.
It gets announced. So I would think that someone would have found it. But he's 20 years old. They don't always have, they turn it off because they're, don't like supporting that shit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that and you want to preserve that, for like if evidence later if need be, if there, is some sort of, conspiracy, terroristic, like circle going on, so we want to kind of preserve all that. Have we talked about the victim,
No.
Corey Competitor, Competitor.
Oh wow, they've released the victim. I didn't get that. Wow. Okay, Corey something, the victim. I'll look.
Yeah, I guess he was a firefighter, and he like dove on top of his family to protect them. Like it's very, I mean, I think that's any father's response, you know, when their family's in danger. I would do that in a heartbeat, like in a heartbeat.
Wow. No, I'm trying to find anything about the victim. You're right. That is. Where did you find it? Reuters?
AP.
Okay. Yeah,
Uh,
there it
that-
is. Victim identified as Corey
Mhm.
Compatore. Oh, how sad. Oh, how sad. Yeah, so he was only 52, right?
yeah, yeah,
Only
no.
50 years old. Bummer.
They didn't release the other two victims' names yet, the ones that survived, but Josh Shapiro said earlier today that they were in critical but I think stable condition.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, like, Pennsylvania has that weird vibe. Like when I was at a college, one of my nephews, he's that is in a band, and they had a battle of the bands. This is like last year, but there's just something like creepy feeling that just descends when you see a whole bunch of people out in a park in Middle America, and like the Pennsylvania vibe, with the Trump vibe is around, when you're out in those suburbs, and I can't imagine a Trump rally doesn't feel that way. Like that, they people have got to be on alert.
It's always I've been to a few Trump rallies in the past, and it's definitely a different vibe from like Democratic rallies.
Right.
Like usually like with Democratic rallies, there's a lot of positivity,
Hmm.
there's, and when you go to a Trump rally, it's weird. It's like walking into like some church cult thing, and like, they're positive, but like in a weird, gross sort of way.
Aggressively positive.
Yes, but like not
We know
like
best.
not like, the peppy, hot chick from high or from college or whatever, or the peppy, chick from church, synagogue, wherever, that's super peppy and like aggressive in that way,
Hmm.
kind of almost a Karen-esque sort of way,
Right.
but like a different, like a hostile. I don't know. It's weird. It's
I,
just weird.
yeah, I can only imagine. I mean, again, just feeling that vibe, and we were gathered for a celebration, but just wherever there are a bunch of white people gathered, and
Mhm.
in that outdoor cheering, and you just knew there's lots of pickup trucks around you. There's
Mhm.
there's all the signs.
The funny thing is, I grew up in a town like that. And like I always felt that way because I was Jewish, and I was always felt like an outsider,
Mhm.
even though I passed for white
Mhm.
for the most part. And like it was the same sort of vibe. Like it's the same sort of vibe. Like you expect there to be like PBRs or Bud
Mhm.
Light or
People
something.
shooting guns in the air, like
Yeah, right.
whatever. Yeah, and it's
Should be
dangerous.
a bonfire somewhere.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, not, and I again, I lived in Georgia. I'm from Delco. Like I know that there's that vibe, but like just lately, I feel the violence has been jacked up, and the
But it's
threat
on
of,
both
like, I
sides,
never
though.
thought about, I never used to think like, I feel like this would be an ideal place for a shooting. But that's the kind of shit that runs into my head when I'm out in Pennsylvania. And if I had gone to a Trump rally, I feel like that vibe would have been there. Like, wow, this is an ideal place for a shooting. And I don't necessarily, I don't, I feel like it's the NRA and all
Well,
this
I
that we've done
always
has
think
contributed to this, and here we are, right?
I've always felt, thought that way because,
right. Well, I
I
haven't.
always I always think, if something bad happens, where are my
Right.
exits?
Well, this is
Where
a
can I
different
take
though.
cover?
This is literally
You know,
thinking someone's
it,
going to shoot. You know what I mean?
well, but
Not normal
that's,
how vigilance. I'm vigilant. I've been vigilant. But I want to make sure that you're hearing the clear distinction that lately, and I blame the Republican Party or whoever supports the NRA and all that shit because the guns being so prevalent, I feel that there's the threat of violence has been jacked up. I really feel the threat of gun violence is different than it was that I'm previously used to, regardless of hypervigilance that I may or may not have felt. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, I do. Um, I feel like that's it. To me, it's been like that for a long time. With regard to gun violence and everything, like I had just recently graduated, like, when, uh, well, when did Columbine happen? That was what,
93.
90s? Okay, so I was still in school.
Oh, when did it happen? 99.
99. Okay, so that's what I thought. I thought I had just
Yeah, I don't know. I
recently
was just guessing.
graduated.
We're
I thought
talking.
I had recently graduated, but okay. So I had just recently graduated high school, when that happened, like a few years before. Like our entire adult lives, we've seen, you know, it progressively,
Yeah,
these mass shootings get
absolutely.
worse and worse.
Absolutely.
But we have to be fair here, and I think that it's important, especially in this moment, to recognize that it's not just people on the right. Now, they
No.
have advocated for policies that make
Yes.
shootings more
Yes.
likely to happen,
Yes. And the
but
guns
the
in the
the
street
the
though.
danger is from both sides in
Well, how
this.
is the left side doing that? I mean, how many shootings are there from the
I'm
left?
I have they just had a program in LA, like 2 weeks ago.
But I
There
mean,
have
like,
been violent attacks against
no, I
Jews
mean, like,
every
I mean, like,
single
just mass. I
day.
just mean like mass shootings. Have there been many left-wing mass shootings?
Again, you're focusing on a specific type of violence.
Right.
All
That's what we're
That's what
talking.
we're
violence,
That's
talking
what we're
about. We're
talking
talking
about,
about
though.
gun
We're
violence.
talking about
all
the
violence
feeling
Gun
of
shootings,
mass
violence.
violence.
Gun violence.
all
I
violence
understand,
Gun
and
needs
violence
to
is what we're talking
be.
about.
I understand, and that's a different subject, Corey,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
it's a
It's not.
definitely
It's the
It
same
is a
thing.
it is.
It,
That's a
it
distinction. It's a gun violence thing we're talking about here.
it's
Not physical violence, growing gun violence.
all violence needs to be addressed because the
We're
beating a
talking,
Jew is one step away from shooting a Jew.
we get it, but we're different topic. Gun violence
No.
by
It's
left-wing
and
gun violence by left-wing shooters.
And and I understand if it's the same idea, the threat of violence has ratcheted up. And if you in your bubble or whatever your experience is, does not see that this has changed, that the environment that the rest of us have been living in has ratcheted up. And if to you, your world purpose, or your experience of the world has been one of violence, so that you don't notice that it's up among other people outside of your ken, that's fine too. But what I'm
and
just
I
what we're
and I'm
trying to
not and I'm
speak to
not
is that for the people
disagreeing with that.
outside, right,
And I'm
exactly.
not disagreeing with that.
Okay, and that was
I'm just my point is that it needs to be ratcheted down for all of
amen,
us.
amen. I could not, yes, in every aspect.
And yes, I absolutely 100% blame Republicans that guns are so prevalent in this country.
Right.
And it is a tool
Yes,
of violent actors
there you go,
that
and
they
all
oftentimes
actors, yes.
they oftentimes
Mm-hmm.
tends to be Republicans or right-wing leaning.
But
But
Mhm.
it's still available
yes,
to people on the left that are doing these things,
exactly.
And it's not a tool for them.
No, and they might be using it differently. They might be terrorizing differently as opposed to the mass shooting. Who knows?
Exactly. I
There's
mean,
all, but that's all bad. We're all in,
it
yes,
is.
yes. And this latest shooting that we had to deal with Trump getting his ear nicked by shrapnel, by glass, whatever. That is just a reflection of how bad things have continued to go. Right? And it's just, and
Yeah,
they brought it
absolutely.
on. He brought it on himself.
They did bring it I yes, I want to say that, but I know that that's not the right thing to say.
It isn't, but it feels right,
It
doesn't it?
it does, but I think we have to be responsible, and we can say, that Republicans anti-gun legislation stance and their current
Yeah.
propagation
Yes.
of inserting more guns
Right.
into an already violent,
Mhm.
boiling over situation in America is incredibly stupid
Irresponsible.
and
Stupid,
irresponsible. Yes,
irresponsible, just
stupid and irresponsible, and will put more lives in danger.
and it's the weirdest thing is that a part of me wishes that Alex Jones could spring up and oh, this is a crisis thing, crisis actors, yeah, like or someone like him, just crisis thoughts and prayers, crisis actors. That's what this is. It's just
I would have to condemn that as much as I condemn
right.
it on
You
every other
laugh.
side.
You
I
laugh.
did because it is funny. It's like a dead baby joke. Like, I mean, you don't want to laugh.
Mhm.
Like this would really confuse him because he'd want to be screaming crisis actors, but on the other hand, Trump is the hero. Like his head would just explode.
Yeah.
Right? It'd
Yeah,
be fascinating. What would he do? He couldn't downplay it because Trump is upplaying it. It'd be
Man,
funny. See?
I don't want it to be funny and I don't want to laugh.
we kind of miss him just a little bit. Just a little bit.
I feel a little bad about laughing.
I think we
You
miss
know,
think we miss him, but honestly, it's just thoughts and prayers. That's all I can say. Is like, I wish you guys like there's a meme going
I
around.
wish they would pull their head out of their
Right,
ass.
right.
Like, I saw just yet last night, like hours after it happened, like somebody blaming like big cities for like the violence
Oh yeah.
in this country, and that's so BS. Yeah,
Yeah.
cities have their problems, but that happened in bumfuck Egypt.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that's bumblefuck PA.
Mhm.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
Like the problem's hit your doorstep, buddy. It ain't got shit to do with Pittsburgh. It ain't got fuck all to do with Philly.
Yeah.
No,
Like, get your head out of your ass. This
Yeah.
is in your neighborhood.
Yeah.
that's right.
Well,
that's
they
right.
actually had, what was it? The reps from, I guess, around Harrisburg, at least upstate, were the ones coming after Krasner the hardest.
Yeah, remember?
And
Yeah,
it's like if crime figures in your own backyard are worse than Philadelphia are
absolutely.
per capita.
And we were getting better at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still
Yeah.
are.
Yeah.
Still
It's
are.
crazy.
Although to hear people talk about it, we have some chit chat at our local store this morning, and of course everyone's like, "Well, his motorcycle got stolen, and he actually had video of it being stolen, and had the license plate number of the guy that took it, and the PA Philly police wouldn't do anything. It had to be a cop in Montgomery County came out and helped him." And I'm like, I don't know if
Was
that's
he in
Krasner's
Montgomery though?
fault. I don't
Was
know.
he in Montgomery?
No, it was the guy who broke the ring open was a DA who the ring of
Yeah.
the stolen
Oh, that thing, that guy,
mufflers. Yeah,
that,
catalytic converters, excuse me, catalytic converter. Yeah, that was apparently he was
that was,
DA
that was
outside
a,
of PA.
that's a big thing
Yeah.
all across the country.
It
Yeah,
is,
right?
right?
Yeah.
Huge.
So glad I don't own a car.
Yeah, his thing is that somehow the cops, when they come by, and they've been by because he's had like 6 catalytic converters stolen.
Things
He's
get
had like
stolen.
his motorcycle
Yeah.
stolen. And he's like, oh, well, the cops show up. And he goes and describes how lackadaisical they are when they show up and how seeming to have any lack of interest. But then they're just like, well, the DA never prosecute this anyway. And I'm like, is that what cops should be saying to you? I mean, is that your job to be like, you know
that
what?
that is not something a cop should be saying to you ever.
Right?
No matter like whether it's a petty crime or not. Like they're supposed to take your information, and do their best to solve the crime.
Yes.
Like that's their job. But that's how Philly cops have always been, even back in the 80s and 90s when they were beating like suspects and whatnot,
Yeah.
like to get confessions. Like they didn't give a shit
Mhm.
about solving the actual crime. They
Right,
all they cared about is closing the case.
right,
You
right.
know,
So anyone will do. That's how so many people got thrown in jail too,
yeah,
right?
so many people got thrown in
Yeah,
jail.
yeah.
Mhm.
So many people got thrown. That's why we have so many people being released.
Yeah.
When their cases are re-examined.
Mhm.
Right,
Mhm.
right.
That's how we got to this situation in the first place, is over prosecuting the wrong people.
Right, right.
Yep.
Yep. Yep. And then things just got worse because we added guns. Yay!
Specifically automatic, like, or weapons of war,
Yeah.
that can be either semi-automatic or automatic,
Yeah.
because I don't think the fire rate on what do they call, not, they're not M4s, what do they call, AR-15,
AR-15s, yeah.
AR-15, like a civilian AR-15, it's not going to matter that much
Right.
if you have an extended clip, and you can fire one, like, per trigger pull. Like, you could pull your trigger pretty fucking fast.
Mhm.
Like, you're still going to kill a lot of people.
Right.
Like,
And if we
Well,
the kinds of weapon.
that guy in Vegas used a bump stock, didn't he? The one who killed, what is it, 60 people?
Yeah,
That was a bump stock, yeah.
I believe so. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
why they had initially Trump had initially banned
yes.
bump stocks
And then the Supreme Court overturned that recently.
just a couple weeks ago.
Fantastic. Just awesome. Now, if assault rifles were not an option, right? Would it be as easy to pick off somebody from 150 yards? And what would they use? Anybody know?
Use a regular hunting rifle. You
Like
could
a
use a
rifle?
hunting rifle.
Yeah,
I mean, if you're half good, like if you're a half decent average sharpshooter, you should be able to do it with an open sight. You don't even need to put a scope on it.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
With a scope, you should be able to do that at 500 yards, 1,000 yards.
Mhm.
Like, and that's the thing about this situation, because I actually have the image somewhere. Let me find where my thing is and open that up. And let's share. Okay. Share. Okay.
Oh, cool.
Where so, like, you could, this is only 150 yards. He had a direct line of sight. That little white line is where Trump was,
Okay.
or the region where Trump was. He had a direct line of sight.
And he
This
was on
little,
elevated too, right? So it was like super.
yeah,
Okay.
the little dot over here, that is where the Secret Service sniper was monitoring the roofs. But they should have, I mean, the standard practice would have been to have somebody on that roof as well.
Yeah,
Right.
why wouldn't
Like-
that's what's puzzling, is why was that
It's
not
obvious,
and-
even
and
to
that's-
me.
Yeah, it is obvious, and it's well within, like, sniper range,
Right.
easily within sniper range.
Right.
Like, you're crossing, like, what, a little road, a
Right.
little field there, plus that field.
So what's up with that?
I don't know, and I think that's something that Secret Service definitely has to answer for,
Yeah.
In the next couple days.
Mm-hmm.
I
think
think
they're
they
holding somebody in front of congressional committee or something, the head of Secret Service, or at least
both
higher up.
both well, everybody's pretty much coming before the House and the Senate within the next week or two, I think.
What
Like,
is a reasonable answer for whoever is in charge?
honestly, there
say?
isn't a reasonable
Well,
answer
Can you
from a
imagine what he
security
might say as a
perspective.
military guy?
Like, maybe they could say that they could see that roof as well from their vantage point,
Mhm.
and that's true, but you still are supposed to have somebody on that roof.
Right.
Like,
Where would
if-
we look up best practices for?
I don't think that they published that.
The Secret Service handbook.
Their handbook, yeah.
do it.
Guy here, guy there, guy there.
But just from a security standpoint, like you want like to have all of the high places covered.
Sure.
You know, there's like no reasonable security reason to not have done that.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't know like who fucked up, but somebody's getting fired.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm just interested to see what they say. And it'd be cool if we can predict it. So that's why I was hoping that whether they're bets and it's Biden's fault. Biden told me.
I'm gonna say that they're probably gonna, you know, say that they felt that they had that covered from their position. I mean, obviously I'm Monday back
Right.
Monday, you know, quarterbacking here, but
Yeah. What would
like
be a
that's
suspicious response?
if they didn't fucking try to get there as fast as they could, if they took their
Right.
time.
Right. If they had some delay or some weird reason why they were delaying. I was on a phone call. Steve saw something funny. Apparently, they dumped all the right-wing Telegraph.
On Telegraph, they take off all the I don't know if it's commentary. They shut it down
After this
after a
happened.
mass shooting. It's almost like second nature for them. They just pull down a lot of the commentary because they don't want. They assume, I guess. That
So
it's
how
gonna
many
be-
pages of commentary did they take down
Well, that's what I was
automatically?
looking for. I think it was in the Guardian. Let me see if I can. pull
Yeah,
it
so
up.
they took down a whole bunch of Telegraph chatter in the right-wing rooms just automatically. And at first, when people saw that or the authorities saw that, they were like, "Oh shit, it's obviously a right-wing thing." Until Telegraph was like, "No, we do this all the time. There's a shooting just in case there's something incriminating," which again is pretty dirty. That's like ew, right?
Yeah, it is.
Ew.
Like, I mean, I feel like you should be required to hold on to that.
Yeah.
Even if you don't have it public.
Yeah,
like, you
I'm
should
sure
be
they
required-
have to have it.
Yeah.
There's nothing that's not.
Laptop. It's so hard.
Yeah, no. There's nothing that's not like I've heard in all my crime shows, nothing is ever deleted. So
No,
if
no.
they really want it,
no.
they can get it. So I guess there'd be some information there, but I don't know.
Well, I think what would be helpful too is they should subpoena the Secret Service cell chatter
Oh yeah, right. Their chatter.
You mean from the Secret Service?
from their cell phones, yeah, or their whatever communication devices they were using. Kind of like what they were trying to do with Trump when they were talking about the whole January 6th thing, and they're like, "Oh, we."
Are you talking
we-
about the hearing for the
Communication.
hearings?
No, the communication between the
yeah, for any hearing in front of the Congress, I'd be like, you guys.
I agree. Yeah,
off the
absolutely.
ball.
That's
Right, if
certainly
they-
reasonable.
right. If that's missing this time, then we know something. That's sus. That would be
Yeah,
enough.
that would be sus.
That would be a flag if they
Fair.
suddenly are like, "Oh, we don't have any communications. They're all routinely destroyed. Mr. Trump likes it that way." You know, that would be totally messed up.
That would be totally sus.
Right.
I can't believe I just said sus.
I love it.
I
That's
hate it.
awesome.
Just don't say John. I hate John.
No, you can say
Oh, I say that all the time. But usually being sarcastic or like
yeah.
being a dick about something.
we like to do let her cook. Let him cook.
I
That's
don't
a
even
good
know
saying.
what that means.
Oh, yeah, that's a fun one. I think that makes sense. That's just pretty much like let you do your thing, let you cook.
Okay.
Let him cook.
I always look at my son like he's a freaking alien every time he says some
He
weird
spits something
shit.
out, yeah. So what you got, Steve?
Well, I'm still looking.
Oh well.
Yeah, keep on.
Yeah,
keeping
I like
on.
to watch the videos where people speak in Gen Alpha and Gen Z. It makes me laugh.
I like when they make fun because I have no idea what they're saying most of the time, which is a sure sign that I am old.
Oh, old. We're also old, but it's okay. They'll be old once. Haha.
They will, and you know what? I am happy that I grew up in the generation that I did, because I know I'm going to survive when shit hits the fan.
Well, Hope, well, anybody's going to survive. We'll see what happens. But yeah.
Oh, I will.
Well, I mean,
I
the
get.
climate change might hit you, fan, and there's nothing you can do. You're not going to necessarily survive if a house falls on you, but you know.
Well, that's.
So I'm saying the revolution is just one of our concerns. We have plenty of concerns. Don't sell yourself short. You may go down in a flame bowling fireball yet.
Oh, I saw a funny video of this Jewish guy that was making fun of like climate change in Miami, all the with like all the flooding and
yeah.
whatnot. The ended with Jewish house values will go up significantly because of all of the new oceanfront
Oceanfront
property.
property. Yeah, how nice. Oh no. That's terrible.
It is terrible, but you know what? That's one of the beautiful things about us is that we make fun of the shittiest shit.
We laugh as it burns down.
Yes.
We laugh at the dumpster fire that is our world. And we remember when it wasn't such a dumpster fire. Remember?
I do.
Remember? You actually could have health insurance. That was fun. I had that for a while in the 90s. It was great.
Well, I remember like down in Florida, like we had community health centers and it was free to go.
That's nice.
Like
Right?
I also remember the Denton Bents. I think we do have them up here, but they're very rare.
What?
Denton Bent? I
A
know
Denton
you know
Bent?
what a Denton Bent is.
I do not.
You're from Georgia.
I'm
and
not
you
from
don't know
Georgia. I just lived there for 10 years. I don't know what a Denton bin is.
what they do is like the grocery stores will
Oh,
either
the
give
junk. Oh,
them
yeah, the thrift stores.
no, but it's for grocery stores.
But the
Like they'll give them like all of
dented
their
cans.
damaged,
Yeah.
dented cans, like
Yeah.
almost all the damaged boxes. That's where they all went, and you can get them like for like pennies on the dollar.
Right. I remember one of those stores and they didn't have labels on it. And they were just like, we think they're green beans.
I don't remember. I've never come across that, but
It was awesome. There was just one little corner there. Just like, yeah, we think that's green beans, but it was like nothing to buy it. Like they were really super cheap. But
yeah, I think they were
with
like
a whole
5
case of
cents or something.
hopefully green beans. So yeah, that was funny. And you know, by the way, dented cans are dangerous. You should not eat dented cans. It's botulism. And you'll
Well,
eat
it
the
depends on like
microscopic little bump, and it'll let in bad luck. It's not worth
I
it.
survived, and
know,
we
but you
we
can
went to the
die.
Denton Bent all the time.
Yeah, but it's dangerous. Now I wouldn't do
Now,
no, that's not good. So Steve's having trouble. What were you looking for? I've even forgotten.
Well, it's like the pattern of Telegraph, the app taking
Oh,
down,
right.
taking down Chatter
Right.
in the aftermath of a mass shooting or something like this.
And you
I-
can
I-
trace your
but
digits.
but again, I imagine it's to preserve the any evidence in it, and the assumption that it's right wing is not far.
Right.
That's not far off base. I mean,
Right.
there's plenty of right wing extremists.
Yes.
in
And generally
this country.
speaking, yeah, then it becomes a mass situation or an assassination. Frequently, that's where we're coming from. But yes. Yes. So anyway, that would be sus if they didn't have the communications. What other things might be sus? If like Biden's guilty, what would be sus? What would be the thing? They wouldn't have it.
I'm not gonna entertain that because it's not in his like his
No,
personality
he
to
wouldn't
do
do that.
something
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah. So all
Like-
what I can imagine is like left wing sus, right wing sus. And I'm coming up with right wing sus. I'm not coming up with any left wing sus. I'd like to find what I'd like to kind of prepare. I try to think ahead to what they're gonna say because then I know how I'm gonna feel about it.
I would feel about it the same way I felt about it, either way. Like, man, that fucking sucks. We should fucking do something about gun violence. Like,
Yeah, but if he was a total right wing nut job that was like trying to do something else or whatever, then or if it's
I'd be like, well,
actually-
that's typical, but still, we
right,
should do
or if it-
something about gun violence.
right, or what if it's staged? That's even worse,
That would
I think I want to know.
I mean, as far as conspiracy theories go, like That I mean, it's not outside of the realm of
It isn't.
possibility.
There's enough weirdness. If there wasn't someone on that roof, what's going on? Did it go wrong? People are like, well, someone died. And I'm like, fair enough. That's terrible. But what if it was a staged event gone wrong? Awry. Things do go awry. I don't know. And I'm not even, we are talking about this and not 2025 right now. But again, that's more conspiracy shit. And that's not my jam. But I'm trying to look for where they're going to be covering shit up so that, I don't know, I guess it kind of just helps you. For me, it helps me. If I can predict what in each situation might happen, then I have an easier time making sense of the news that comes at me inevitably as a fire hose. So I guess I'm scrambling for some kind of claw hold is, while I know I'm not falling for the conspiracy theory shit yet, I am keeping an eye out for it a little bit.
I have to follow the facts. Like that's just how I am. I've
I'm trying to
always
follow the
been
facts too. I just try to prepare. That's all. So you just receive. You don't try to anticipate, you receive. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, and then I evaluate it. I look at the sources, like are they trusted sources? You know, is it a primary source?
Right?
You know,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
is it not a terrorist group that's, you know,
Right.
saying it?
Right. And sometimes the things come out not even as whole, articles from sources, but they come out as bits and drabs. Like how about the remember the Titan submarine that exploded?
No, you mean the imploded.
It imploded, yes. And for a whole week, we were all like, oh, they only have enough air until Friday, right? And then of course on Friday they are like, haha, it turns out they imploded and they've been dead all along. Well, why do you think they dragged it out all week? Like if you read the comments during that time, all the engineers, everyone was like, hey, they heard an explosion. They heard a sound. They picked up the sonar. So they know what happened on Monday. But we were like led to believe there was any chance of their being alive just because they wanted clicks and traffic, right?
I mean that may have been why, but you know, at least from the perspective of like mainstream outlets,
Right.
like, and I don't trust any of them honestly anymore. Even like people that well, I still trust Rachel Maddow. She's good.
I love her. Right.
But like the rest of them, like they've proven themselves like untrustworthy.
And like France, right? When that we all thought France was going right wing. And then all of a sudden it's like, wow, everybody comes out. And the story is, no, it actually goes progressive. But then
And they still riot.
She's like, well, they still got more seats. It's fucked up.
And they still rioted. Like
They still rioted?
yeah, absolutely. They were burning shit down. Like, what the fuck? Like you won and it's still not good enough for you.
Well, that's what happened in 2016. Remember, all the Trump people were like losing their minds. They were aggressively happy they won. Like,
Yes.
and it was like, come on. Oh, what'd you find, Steve?
Hey,
Steve found something.
you know, Texas Republican, well, Dr. Ronnie Jackson's nephew was wounded in the neck in the shooting.
Oh, really? He was one of the people
Yeah.
that were wounded?
Politico reported it 16 hours ago. Bullet crossed his neck and he was bleeding, Jackson told Fox News, adding that his nephew had been seated behind Trump and was in the line of fire.
Ooh.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, ooh, yikes.
Yeesh. So what do we got? Is that the only thing?
Yeah, I can't find
Okay,
it.
never
I
mind.
don't know what happened with it, but
Fail.
I am never and will never support any of these people. And I believe firmly, because a jury convicted him, that he belongs in jail. But I even in like my own little circle, you know, I'm still telling people like, look, this isn't like how we do things. Yes, he belongs in jail, and I would love to see him put where he belongs because that's what he deserves. But we don't solve problems this way.
No. Ew.
We're not supposed to.
No, we don't want a leader that solves problems this way. We don't like the whole US. Like, that's just crazy. Like, stop. No, ew.
Like,
no.
don't. You're
No.
inviting more trouble.
totally. That is, it's just ew. It's
Mhm.
totally ew. It's just wrong. It's just not, you don't get the best anything when you just have that attitude. That just gets, no,
Like
that's
a,
no.
a good leader would have done what his Secret Service told him to do
That's it.
and stayed down, got out of there,
Yep.
and, said whatever he needed to say about his condition later, or better yet, let his campaign respond
Right.
and the Secret Service respond and do their jobs.
Right. Or like,
Like,
calm down. If anything else, if he had to say something, he would have said, calm down. But
not fight,
not fight,
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 fight.
fight.
Like you were inviting people that are hyped up and angry and upset and
Yeah.
obviously,
Yes, I'm sorry.
terrified, as they should be, to go out and do more violence against people who had nothing to do with it.
Nope. Nope. Like, thank God that guy wasn't black, because they'd be out tearing up the streets
Oh,
trying to shoot people, right?
of course.
I mean, seriously, it kinds of
Well,
black.
I've seen a picture of him. He's like a dorky looking, skinny bean white guy. According
Kyle
to
Rittenhouse-esque.
yeah, according to people from his high school,
Mhm.
like he was picked on like all through high school.
Aw,
General loser, general loser.
Wow, where'd you find that?
I believe there was an interview sometime this morning. I don't remember if it was on MSNBC or if it was an AP interview I was
All
reading.
right, that's cool. That's interesting. They got to his high school and they got some information on him. Very
Well,
cool.
they know what high school he graduated from.
Mhm.
I don't know if I mentioned
Is he
that.
working?
It didn't say. The information that's been out did not say. What do we?
Oh, he might have been in school. Was he in school? No.
No. Clearly not. Um,
Mhm.
hold on here. Graduated from Bethel Park High School in 2022. Uh, the district told their local TV station the district's also going to cooperate with investigators on that. Registered they were using DNA to confirm his identity.
Ooh.
And they recovered an AR style rifle.
He got it from his dad or something.
Yeah, it sounds like he got it like 6 months ago from his dad. I assume maybe like as a birthday or Christmas present. Sounds about right.
Festive.
I mean, I don't have a problem with that too much. I think, that it's an AR style weapon, which is a weapon of war, like is problematic. But
Right.
like, I mean, if my son,
firearm.
Mhm.
like if my son was 20 and like he was hunting or whatever, we lived out in Bumblefuck, I'd buy him, a hunting rifle. I mean, I'd
He
probably,
wanted one.
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
I would make sure he's not fucking gonna kill anybody with it, of course.
Right. Right.
Yeah, I'd want to know like what he's doing with it.
Right. Right. The son who
You know,
doesn't hunt, who works on his manifesto, probably doesn't need the rifle.
no, and certainly nobody needs nobody that like if you buy an AR style rifle, it is not for hunting.
No, right?
Mhm.
Like they're not designed for that.
Right. They blow it up. You can't eat the meat after.
Yeah, because the
there's
rounds
nothing
tumble.
there. Yeah, there's nothing there.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so horrific for emergency people, because people are just like blown apart. So there's like very little hope to save.
Even with a 5.56 millimeter round, like you're getting lots of damage, and because it's essentially a 22 like caliber, like in the sense like its size, like it's bouncing around in you,
Mm-hmm. There you go.
like so it's tumbling around, and bouncing around in you.
Oh, it sounds terrible.
Mm-hmm.
That
Like
sounds-
it's designed to cause the most amount of damage possible. I'd rather be hit by a larger round like a 7.62 than 5.56 any day.
I don't know anything about it. Anything.
Because that's just going to go right through you. It's going to suck.
Take your word for it. Like you were in a Saw video. It
That does sound like a Saw video. Do
does.
you want to be
Yeah,
shot by?
right?
What's your choice?
Well, you have until you saw your leg off to find out. Yeah. Yeah. Weird times, people. Weird times.
Yeah, I haven't been able to see besides Ronnie Jackson's nephew, who there was another person was.
Yeah, there was another. There were two people
Yeah.
that were injured, and one that was the one that was killed.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't see who the other one was.
Yeah, it's sad. Like I may thoroughly disagree on every political point that these people have, every one of them. But it's sad. Like we should be able to talk about it. Like I should be able to convince you that I'm right
Yeah.
and you're wrong.
Right. I'm fine. Yeah, right. I should be able to say it to your face and not have to worry that you're going to shoot me.
But that's where we're at in this country. I just had a friend, or I guess now former friend,
Oh,
uh, uh, block me, and I blocked them, on Instagram because, it's somebody that I had worked with for a long time. Amanda Rise is a popular, person in Philly activist circles. And like we had been friends for a long time. Like, and I called her out on like some numbers that she was giving out that were overly, overinflated about the war. And I tried to, call her out like these are not the numbers, and you're putting this information out there and it's harming Jewish people. And her response was, "Don't you talk to me that way." Like I didn't even curse at her, didn't like do any of my normal stuff. I was very gentle about it because I wanted to be gentle about it because I liked this person, you know? And like her response was like blah 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 blah. And I was like, look. And like apparently she blocked me before I could block her, but like so I couldn't even really respond, but like I responded anyways.
mhm.
And like, I'm like, look, that you have to stick to the facts. And, here are the facts and blah blah blah. But like if you can't do that, you're not even willing to listen to somebody on the other side,
Right.
like there's no hope.
Yeah.
You should be confident enough in your understanding of the facts that if you're having a conversation with a person who has different facts and different sources, that you're right, that you're right. And if you're not, then you should change your opinion.
It's interesting how hard it is for certain people, especially certain ideologies, that, like when you have a debate with someone, it's one thing, right? But when
Yeah.
you talk to someone who's in a cult, it's different, right? Because certain people and certain times and certain ways our brain works, if we're bought into something that requires belief anyway, then that like opens you're never going to have it's our fault in a way for ever expecting to have a logical conversation with them, because that's not where they're at. So the trick, from my understanding, and I'm not good at it, I'm just reading about it, is that you have to approach them like you approach a cult, where it involves a relationship. It involves putting up with their lies until you find you find your hold, you find your way in. It's a whole different approach. So we're kind of doomed if we're thinking that all we need to do is keep giving them truth and giving them information, and why shouldn't it stick?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I honestly don't have an answer for that. I'm not
No.
built for it.
No, no. And it reminds me of like when you're in a relationship when they tell you like you have to make sure that your partner knows what you mean by this and their love language and da 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 da. And at a certain point, I'm like, you know what? Get it together. Like I don't have why you went I have to do all that work for you to understand me. Like why are we even in this? And unfortunately, it's like we're in a bad relationship with a lot of these news stories and this political shit. And I can't, there isn't another person. I can't, there's not enough fish in the sea. I can't leave you the parties. Like I can't, so it's
I think at the end of the day, like as far as like in our like making sure that we don't fall into these traps, it's
right.
incumbent on ourselves to examine,
Yeah. What
the
if you're in
sources.
one? How do you know? You think you could be
I agree. Like
wait, tell me,
nobody who's
we
in a
might be
cult
in one
knows
right
that they're
now.
in
That's
a
what
cult.
I'm saying. Like we might be in one right now because they have conversations like we have just on their side, and they're just like, wow, they're just in a cult. And like, how do you how I'm in
And
some
I'm sure
kind
they do.
yeah, they
I'm
do.
sure they do.
That's what got me so angry about my hairdresser the last time I bitched about him. Like that's because he's in it, he's in the soup, and so he thinks I'm the one that's in the cult. So whatever I say does it's not about truth, it's not about anything.
Man, what's
It's
his final response is things are just unknowable.
That's how you know you're in a cult.
Yeah,
Right there. Right
maybe as
there.
long as
That's it.
I like that. I like that. That's a great one. That's a good define. If you ever get to the point where you just throw up your hands and go, I just gotta believe, then you know you're in a cult.
Right?
That some things are unknowable. Okay, loser.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I mean, the emotional response is to call them losers or whatever, and certainly I'm guilty of that.
Hard not to.
Mhm.
It is, and and I'm a Gen Xer, so I'm an asshole, and I don't give a fuck, anyways.
Right.
So, like, it's really within my nature to do that. But oftentimes it is the smartest of people who end up being sucked into these things.
And because they're
You know,
smart, because they can make up enough excuses that they need to, because
yeah,
their brains
absolutely.
can be that fluid to do it, but they've given in.
What
Once you invested,
Mhm.
they don't want to, and they're used to being the smartest one, so they don't want to look stupid. They've
look at all of these college kids. Like they're going to Ivy League. It's
yeah,
mostly at Ivy League
right.
schools.
They're used
These
to
kids,
being
these are
right.
not dumb
No,
kids.
no, they're used to being right, so they assume that whatever they've seen is right, and they've invested, and you're not going to get it out of their head. They're absorbed. So what do you do?
It's part. I feel like it has a bit to do with like the Dunning-Kruger effect.
Mhm.
Mhm.
You know,
Absolutely. I agree.
it in the sense that not necessarily that they're dumb,
No.
but that they have just enough information
Yeah.
to believe
Yeah.
they're right,
Mhm.
and not enough information to know what they don't know.
Right, exactly. They feel they've seen the light and that they know. And now that they know, it's their job to like spread this know to the whole world without even and they don't understand that they only know this much.
Yeah.
So
And I hate to
they-
say this, but it is like the most white shit ever.
it is.
Like, I mean, it is so it's such a white person. Like, I mean, obviously people do it across the
Sure,
spectrum,
sure,
but
but yeah.
Mhm.
you know,
We really put that spin on. We sell that, don't we?
you guys
Yeah.
really mastered that, with the colonialism and like,
Oh yeah, yeah.
the
Love that.
spreading the word.
Hats off. Certainly.
Mhm.
Hats off.
Mhm.
But yeah, I am the first to admit I am not the one to deal with that sort of shit.
No,
And
and sometimes
I mean, I really couldn't anyways because like I'm personally affected.
and sometimes it's just good to your job is to provide the negative reinforcement. so that they feel the burn when they come out of it, because they shouldn't feel constantly constantly supported by people. So you're there, you're giving
am-
the burn. That's it. You're negative reinforcement man. If there were enough of you who could make a difference with just one, it's not so much, but you know what? It still matters. Every little bit helps. You're doing your job, man. Hats off to you now. Right?
I guess.
That's what I tell myself when I yell at someone in the supermarket. I'm like, you know what? She had it coming. Someone had to. Here's my job. I am karma. Today
I
I'm
am
karma.
karma.
I am karma. That sounds like Cookie Monster
It
or,
does.
or
It
Grover.
did sound like Cookie
Or
Monster.
Grover. Karma. No.
I'm more like the Grouch.
Yeah. It's my
So,
spirit
I
animal.
gotta go get Charity.
Yeah,
'cause
yeah.
she's almost finished.
And
with
this is
the
it. We're about
delivery.
Yep, we're a little
wrapping
bit
up
over.
Anyway.
Yeah.
That was good.